you were dead.
Why does everybody else think I'm dead?
Can I have some money?
I don't know. Mom, can I have some money?
I don't know. Can I have some money? Quit looking at me, Dad.
I'm just checking to see if I had anything called. Got it.
Housekeeping. Enjoy.
I'm getting rid of the ones where you guys were fat.
Those are the only ones where we look happy.
Thanks, Jackie.
Please call me Aunt Jackie is the only title that I have.
This is our 45th anniversary, and I get to talk.
She's finally coming out of her shell. Quiet, everybody. Move over, girls.
Beep.
That didn't go through.
I heard a beep.
Please welcome Lecy Goranson.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
This is just a really exciting time. The premiere is tomorrow night. If you guys haven't heard, if you've been under a rock in America.
It's hard to avoid.
It
right?
is.
It really is. But are you as excited as we are?
I really am. I had a lot of thoughts and kind of trepidation about what the show was going to be when I heard that it was coming back. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a single camera. I wasn't sure if there was going to be an audience. You know, I mean, life has changed since the 90s.
Sure.
Quite a lot. And when we sat down together and we read the first script, I just felt really, really relieved because the writing was solid like it used to be and just really excited. And I'm just really proud of these shows. There are 9 shows. We had 8. ABC threw us another one. And, you know, there's just some of that really classic Roseanne stuff that happens in these episodes. And I'm really just so excited to see and hear what people's response is to the show. So it's like, you know, about to give birth to something tomorrow into the universe. So it's really cool.
That's really exciting. What was the first reaction that you had when you got that call? Hey, we might be doing a reboot of this and we want you back.
I was excited, but I was a little overwhelmed. And like I said, I had concerns about what it would be. And I've kept a really low profile in my life since the show. I think I've done a lot of work, but it's not been really super pop culture, big, huge, you know, television stuff like that. So I was a little maybe protective of myself, like, oh gosh, what is this gonna be? But I was just, you know, I love the show and I love the cast, and I was just kind of surprised that everybody wanted to do it, because by the time they got to me, John had already said okay, Roseanne had said okay, and Lori had said okay. And I thought, wow, this really has a wind under it. It's not just, you know, it's really happening.
Right. And this is no joke. This is actually there. It's really real. And I know that Roseanne is executive producing again, and so is Sara Gilbert, right?
Yeah.
What's it like to work alongside them now as executive producers?
That Darlene's my boss.
Yes, exactly.
Now.
Darlene's your boss.
It's a little difficult, you know, for Becky. No, I'm so proud of her. It's just amazing. You know, we shot our show right across from her show, The Talk. So she would go back and forth and whatever. And it's just, I don't know. It's one cool thing about having Sara, you know, in one of the big chairs is that I know she, like me, has so much invested in it, and just her childhood, her time, her heart and mind. And that's why it's really cool to have her on board, because there's such a trust there.
It's amazing. And what I really like about the show, because I've seen the pilot episode and it was very good, is that the set looks identical. I felt like I was a kid watching it from scratch again. It really, really brought you back. Do you know what went into recreating the set as we see it now?
I know they just, you know, were very detailed oriented and took a lot of pictures, and there was a lot of redoing. So if something didn't feel like the right color, they would rematch. The wallpaper had to be a certain thing. So, because we grew up there, we can kind of tell each nuance that is a little different. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but they really, were very, very specific.
When we left you as Becky Connor, I know I want to talk about the back and forth between you and actress Sarah Chalke, but where did we leave your character in the last episode of the original Roseanne?
You mean my character or Lecy playing Becky?
Lecy playing Becky.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I believe that I was living with Mark in a trailer, and we were married, and that's about all I remember.
Right.
It was so long ago, and I haven't been watching the reruns, so forgive me.
Yeah, I was wondering if you've watched any of the original episodes since like the nostalgia's coming back, or is that weird to watch yourself?
Yeah, I just never do. I mean, it's kind of funny because it's on every single day, and so you're flipping through the channels, and there's me in a scrunchie with a weird hair, do or whatever, in my pink pants. So it kind of flashes by, but I haven't, I've never really sat and watched them.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you left the show, and there was a little bit of back and forth. You left to go to Vassar.
Right.
And so what went into the decision to, leave a hit show like this to, pursue an education?
Well, I had been on the show for like 5 years, and unlike some child actors who just kind of wait for their big break and that's what they want, I had this full life. I'm from outside of Chicago, Evansville, Illinois, and I, left this very full life to do the show. I was like on the soccer team, and I loved school, and I was a dancer and an artist, and so many things that I was interested in. And part of doing the show was just putting a lot of that on hold. I mean, we had a tutor, so it was me and Sarah in a little room with a tutor. And I was also really, save Sarah, really isolated from my peer group. And so things like having a boyfriend or, just whatever you do as, I had like an answering machine. And I pressed play. I was coming home from work, and it was my brother was having a party at my parents' house. And there was like 100 people going, Lecy, Lecy. And I was just like, what is going on? But I was like, oh, that's what normal people are doing my age. Because I was working full time and trying to, do school. And so I really wanted to get back to all the other parts of myself that wasn't just, working on the show. And it was in some ways it was a hard decision, but in some ways it was the easiest decision because at that point I was so ready just to have just more diversity in my life, I guess.
Sure. And this was only the second audition that you ever went on when you originally auditioned for Roseanne. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. My first audition was that movie, My Stepmother is an Alien or something, and Roseanne was my second audition. Yeah.
Amazing. What was that audition like? Do you remember it?
Well, I remember my mom driving me downtown Chicago because I was being put on tape. And I had just been swimming at the YMCA, so my hair was kind of wet and ratty, and I was wearing my dad's sweater. And I walked into the room, and there were all these little girls with their curled hair and makeup on, and I just went, oh my gosh, what are they doing, I was like, I'm never going to get this. And then so I kind of pantomime, like I guess the scene was like doing Roseanne's hair or something like that. And then we just started living my life again. And then we got a call. I was in my my kitchen eating Chinese food. I opened up a fortune cookie. It said, "You will be graced with the presence of stardom." The telephone rang, and they said that I had a callback for Roseanne, and they were going to fly me to L.A.
Crazy.
Yeah,
fortune
it was
cookie.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, you just can't, And then when I auditioned in L.A., never thought I was going to, get it. No way. And then when they told me I got it, my mom and I were literally just in a state of shock.
It's unreal. And now, you know, how many years later, we're going to see you again, and we also see your counterpart, Sarah Chalke. Both. I know you want to give away too much, but can you kind of tease where your character is at and how maybe Sarah Chalke's character fit into the fold in the new season?
I can't really say that much, but I can say that that there are things that we need from each other.
Okay.
And Sarah Chalke is a totally new character, so we have scenes together, and it's pretty fun and funny.
Are you happy with the trajectory of where your character ends up in the new season?
Yeah, there's definitely not resolve. I mean, I don't think, you know, she's still, you know, has the same job and whatever, but I think that you'll see in the season that there's a lot of things, you know, in the beginning of the season, you kind of see Becky stuck, and she really starts to work through why that is, and she kind of gets to the bottom of it, and it's very moving and powerful. And that's one of the things about our show is that's so great, is that it's not just topical comedy. It's not just, you know, being silly or whatever. There's a lot of silliness, but there's also, you know, a gravity of life that is involved in the show that makes the comic relief all that more, you know, I guess, effective, I think.
It's one of those shows that, of course, a lot of people talk about the working class aspect of the show that we really haven't seen on television in quite some time. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that plays into the new season and why maybe it resonated so much, you know, when we were growing up?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty remarkable that after all this time, there really isn't still a real representation of the working class. I come from working class people. I'm both of my grandparents' sides. I'm from the Midwest. And I guess, you know, maybe it's not glamorous to depict the working class for some people. I think America is a lot about kind of glitz and glamour and you know, waving the dollar bill in front of people. And I just think that, you know, at the core, there is a great deal of suffering in this country and a great deal of strife, and there's a lot of voices that aren't being recognized and aren't being heard. And I know that, you know, for Roseanne, the person that really is what is most important about the show is to depict the working class. And that's what drives the show, and that's what drives her. It's her passion.
We see that in the first episode of the new season a little bit with talk of Trump. Can you kind of tease out, you know, how that plays out in the first episode and maybe how we'll see it down the line, if it's going to be a part of the show?
Well, the whole Trump thing is really, it's not a through line in the show. It's something that is part of the first episode that's established. And it establishes that there is a divide in the family. Mm-hmm. You know, some of the family is, you know, Roseanne is for Trump, and the rest of the Jackie primarily isn't. And so they've been having a riff about it for a long time, and we really wanted to kind of put that out there and say, this is what's happening. I mean, this is what's happening in people's families. There's a lot of division. Mm-hmm. How do we get past that division on a personal level? And I think what's really unfortunate is that I feel like a lot of people just hear Roseanne Trump and they just go with it, and then they can go wherever they want with that, instead of thinking about all the nuance that really is happening on the show. And, you know, one thing about all of the characters in the show is that we all do have arcs. You know, no one stays in the same place, just like in life. And, you know, what happens with Roseanne establishing herself as a Trump supporter, when you see in each episode, you kind of see her deal with some of the issues maybe that would maybe you would think a Trump supporter would have a stance on, but then she transforms. So I really think that it's well handled. I know it's such a knee-jerk thing in our society, and and rightly so to a degree. But I would just encourage anyone who feels when they hear Roseanne Trump supporter that it's really not propaganda. It's not heavy on that. And it's not what the show's about. It really isn't.
Right. I think the original show, the original seasons actually pushed the envelope a little bit with talking about progressive issues, whether it was like gay relationships or birth control. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And that's something that I feel like why that's so effective on our show is that it's about relationships. It's not about someone standing on a platform and wagging their finger and saying, this is what I think. This is the politics come out of relationships, and they still do. They still do. And there's a lot of topical things that are going on in the United States that are addressed on our show in different episodes, but they're addressed from a human place, and I think that it's just more engaging and effective in that way, and it also allows more for conversation and dialogue. Like, for example, the episode where the old episode where I ask Roseanne for birth control, and I'm horrified, and she's horrified. I can't tell you how many people have said to me that they watched that with their mother or they watched that with their daughter, and that they kind of had to talk about it. Was there, it was alive, and it was awkward, and we said it was awkward, and it was awkward for them, and it always is awkward, but because there's the humor involved, it almost is like the door's open. It's like, we can do this.
Yeah.
And we don't have to take ourselves so seriously. We can joke up, we can laugh.
Makes you feel comfortable to actually start the conversation and then see what happens from there. It's cool that you have this show has had that sort of effect.
Yeah, it really is so interesting. That's one thing that I really think is cool about the show coming back too, is because I've been doing a lot of press lately and going around the country and meeting people, and to see the fans and to see the joy in their faces and to see the excitement, and it really is all I need to see to know that people are connected.
And that it was the right decision to actually go back and do it. It seems, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I hope everyone, I hope everyone gets something out of it. But I also really hope that people, it's such a, people like binge watch alone with their computers, and our show's really about togetherness, and so I really hope that people watch the show with other people, or at least, watch it live, because one thing about our show that's really cool is that Lori is a stage actor, I'm a stage actor, John's a stage actor, like Roseanne, there's this energy, because we do have a live studio audience that really feels like, I've seen the show, it feels like it did when we were shooting it live. So it has that presence, and I think that contributes too to kind of the ritual of sitting and watching something live, because it has that energy.
I love that you want to bring it back to that family watching, because I used to watch it with my family growing up, and hopefully the generations that come later will be doing the same thing. What about John Goodman? What's he like working alongside him? I mean, he was your TV dad. Now you're both older. What's it like? So what was he like working then and versus now?
It's funny because I just saw him like an hour ago, so he's like fresh in my consciousness. But he's just what you want him to be. I mean, everyone loves him, and he's a lovable person. He really is. He's also very introverted, and he's also he's also kind of like the cool alpha guy too, who's the funny guy and the one you want to hang out with. And he's also kind of like the best friend, and he is so happy to be back on the show. He's so excited, and you think of everything he's done, all the movies and all the big things that he's done, that he would be this excited, but we all feel that way because we love to work together, and it really is a unique situation for us as actors that we have each other. I mean, we're definitely a bunch of misfits. So
all back together though on the couch again, right? I heard that there was a fun story about that couch, so I'm curious to find out. I think it was like the original couch. It was like one of the original couches or something.
Well, they wanted to bring the original couch back, and the original couch is in a museum. And they said to Sara, I guess, well, we could bring the couch back, but we would have to have heightened security. And then every week after, the taping, we'd have to bring the couch back to the museum. And she said, well, this is too much, And I thought it's kind of funny because it's like, I know the Connors are poor, but like they probably could invest in another couch, maybe. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But needless to say, sadly, it was just a fine couch, but not the original.
Not the original. Close enough, though.
Right.
Has there been talk about another season?
Well, there is talk about another season. We're all crossing our fingers because ABC has to see how we do, and they, I guess, I don't know what they do behind the scenes, but I can say that we all want there to be a second season, and we all are really excited for that should it happen. So we're crossing our fingers.
All right, and premieres tomorrow night, so hopefully people will be watching.
So watch it,
yes,
everybody.
Yes. Okay, we have some questions from the crowd, so let's get to it.
Okay.
Hi. Is there any props that you took from the original set of Roseanne that you get to bring back that you took back in the day?
I left earlier than everybody else. Like, I wasn't there for those later years. And so that was when they disassembled the set and everything. So that's when people took stuff. But I did used to have one of John Goodman's sweatshirts that I had for years. And it was like just this big blue, probably from Sears or something, sweatshirt. And I just clung on to it for years and years and years until, it probably just had one thread. And
Very sweet. All right, who's next?
Hi, thank you for being here. What was the first table read session like?
It was incredible. It was, I guess I was a little nervous because it had been a minute, but it just, feeling that, one thing that's so cool about our show is that we've spent so much time together, so many years. And so you kind of know how people, their energy, how they respond to things as the character and whatever. And just having us all together again, it was just so much fun and a relief because I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be good again. I started getting excited, but it's just, everyone was back. All the characters were back.
Awesome. All right, who's next?
All right, we're going to take our last question from an online viewer.
Okay.
So Keith wants to know, since 90s nostalgia is really big right now, what else do you miss from the 90s?
The 90s, well, what's so funny is I was at the Knicks game the other day, and I was leaving the game, and I saw Eric B. from Eric B. and Rakim, and I got really, really excited. And I was like, Eric B., it's Lecy, and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, okay. But needless to say, he was really cool. But ever since then, I've been in this like hip hop throwback. It's been all 90s. I'm like at the gym, listening to Gangstar, listening to Eric B. and Rakim. I think it's time to bring back all these old, and it's funny because Eric B. is touring too with Rakim. And I was like, yeah, we're all back, right, Eric B? And he's like, oh, okay, Lecy, like.
The 90s are back indeed. Well, thank you so much, Lecy, for coming by today. Roseanne premieres tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on ABC. Give it up one more time, Lecy Goranson.
Thank you so much, guys. Watch this show, please.